There, now it's working. Okay, first things first. I'm going to throw, I said those were the only ones we were going to use. I'm going to throw just a little bit of yellow in up here along the top edge of this before I come over it with some more green. I just want a little bit of a yellow undercoat going across here, and only on this top part. I'm going to do a little bit of that down here too. We've already put a little light green in there. Just going to add a little bit of yellow. Now, on your drawings, did you guys do this shadow already? That's under the arm. Is there anybody that did not do it, just so I know where we're at? Okay. Well, you can get to it later. I'm just seeing where we are, who's where. I am going to keep a Kleenex or a paper towel under my hand today because we are going to do some of the darkest values that we're doing of the whole drawing, and I just don't want to make a mess. But now that I got that light yellow on there, I'm looking at my reference and I'm going to go over it with the light green, and I'm going to go quite a bit darker. Be very careful right in here, kind of in the middle, not to get very much color down, because we're going to want to put some white in there. In fact, let me just back up. That white kind of comes off this toe right here and goes that way if you look at your reference. Let's just streak in some white for right now, just so I have some white on there. I don't want to accidentally forget to put it on. And I'm just kind of making little streaks, pressing down, picking up, pressing down, picking up. I'm not trying to make it exactly like it is on the reference. I'm just trying to create a texture with it, leaving just a little bit of blank paper in between. When I say blank, meaning where there's no color at all. And there's just a little bit past that. Then we come down here to the other foot. There's actually quite a bit of white right here. Now they have kind of a watery look down here. I don't know how much I'm going to worry about creating that so much as just make this look like bamboo. I don't think I'm going to worry too much about that. And of course it goes up past it. I'm not sure how well that white even shows up. Yeah, it shows up pretty good up there. Okay. Just want it to be broken up and not like one long line that goes from here to here. The nice thing about the white is if we didn't get enough right now, we can always go back and add more later. I just want to make sure it's on the paper without too much interference underneath it. So I'll give you a chance to get that white on, and then we'll move to the light green. I'll give you about another minute on that white. Oh, there's one other place I want you to put white while I'm thinking about it. I'm going to go along the bottom of my drawing right here where that line is for the bottom edge of the bamboo. Getting rid of my pencil mark that I originally drew it with. Just kind of get that off of there. I transferred it with, and I'm going to come back and make that white along that very edge. If you look at your reference photo, you'll see there's a white highlight all the way along the bottom. It's a little bit of reflected light right there. Well, I know my reference is this way on my screen. I'm turning it this way because most of my strokes are going to go this way and that way. If I have it like this, I'm trying to draw like that, and that's really awkward. That means I got to move clear from my shoulder to do it. When it's this way, all I got to do is move from my wrist, basically. Okay? And that's why I keep it turned sideways. Always look for the easiest way to create the lines that you've got to put on there. All right, now let's get a little green going here. There's my light green. I'm gonna come in here and I'm going to darken a whole lot of this. I'm going to start right here, and I'm just going to work my way from this end that way. Being careful to stay out of my toes. I'm going to be a little darker at the top and then get a little bit lighter as I move towards the white area in here. Now I'm going to take a little bit of that light green and go through in between some of my white marks to make some of that white stand out a little bit. Pressing hard, lighter, lighter, lighter as I come down towards the center of the bamboo. I do want to make sure I get right up to the edge of the toes and stuff so I don't have like a little glow around them with no color. That's not good. Bringing it right down to where my white is and putting a little bit of green just in between some of the white. I'm not going all crazy in here, just a little bit. Like I said, I can add more white later, and will. For now I'm just trying to get it blocked in just a little bit darker. My goal is when I get to my darkest areas to try to get away with it with just using the one that says green on it. That's the darkest green without using any black. If I got to use a little black, I will, but I prefer not to because black is it's so easy to have it take your drawing over, and we don't want that to happen. It can be a blessing or a curse, and most of the time it's a curse. Okay, now I got pretty good light green and a darker value. I'll pause for a minute while you guys get caught up on that. Then we'll go to the next part, layering this in. And after we're done with our light green, then of course we'll go to our grass green, which is a slightly darker value. And then the last thing we will use is our green, which is the darkest. down here too. Just adding a little more white right here because I noticed that there is some, and I missed it the first time. Okay, let's move down to the bottom here. Same thing here. I'm going to go pretty dark and then fade it out as I get up towards the center. Remember, we are drawing a cylinder basically, so we want to start dark at the outer edge and lighter as we move towards the middle of our bamboo shoot. So I'm pressing really hard at this bottom edge and then lightening up the pressure as I move up. There's a little joint right here on the bamboo. I did not draw it exactly like it was on the reference. I just used the main seam. I didn't put the little flaws on it. If you did, fine, go ahead and draw them in. But I didn't see where they were necessary. That's why I did not draw those in. So. That should be about it for the light green, just going from dark to light. And then I'll grab my grass green here. I'm going to go even darker with a lot of this. On this top edge, most of this is about as dark as I want it from here to here. But where I want to go darker is down here on the bottom edge. Does anybody need more time on this light green, finishing it up? Raise your hand. All right, that's several of you. I'm just going to get back for a minute and let you get it on there. I can even show on this black and white version. I'm looking at for all the areas that are kind of that medium to dark. So like in here, it's darker, down through here, down here, it's quite a bit darker, and then it's quite a bit darker right in here. So those are the areas I'm going to focus on. I'm not going to worry about up in here. We've already got it dark enough. Not going to worry about this in here. Just the areas are darker. This is probably one of the darkest areas right here between the toe and that seam. And you have your reference picture hopefully up on your screen. You can see what I'm talking about. So right in here, I'm going to go pretty darn dark right in here. And that's where this grass green comes in handy. Now, I don't want to press so hard that I fill up every single little pore in the paper, but I want it to definitely go darker. And I will use the darkest green to finish it off. This just gives it a darker value than the light green would. And I'll come up here, the other side of this. Actually, that's all darker green in here. The real key to this bamboo is to make sure your lines are all going in the same direction when you're shading. You don't want to come on here and color this way on this. The only exception maybe being right along the edge of this little seam right here a little bit. Do just a tiny bit of it, but you want to fade it out real fast. You don't want to get a bunch of lines going counter to the direction of the flow of everything else on the paper. Right off this toe, I'm seeing there's a little bit of a shadow comes down here. So while I notice it, I'm going to put it on there. Okay, one thing I'm going to do before I come in with my darkest value is I'm going to take my Kleenex, got it wrapped around my finger here, my finger just wrapped around, and I'm going to soften a little bit of where this white is. I'm only hitting it a little bit. I'm not sitting there rubbing like this. I'm just barely going over it just to take a little edge off it. That's all I'm trying to do. So I'm probably going to come out back and add a little white later. For now, I'm just trying to knock it back just slightly. Now I'll come in with my dark green. I'm going to put my darker values in, and after I get all that laid in, then I'll come back and decide, do I need to go lighter white in some areas? The nice thing is that white will go over quite a bit of stuff and still show up. So now, darkest value, and you can see that that's pretty close to what it is on your reference. These aren't going to be an exact match, but it's going to be pretty close. Checking my reference a lot to make sure I'm not going somewhere I shouldn't. This is pretty close to what we want here. I get down here in this area here, decided I'm too light, so I'm going to get my grass green in here. I'm going to go over a lot of this and darken this up a little bit. I'm going to come through a lot of this where I got my white, and I'm lightly going over it with some of this grass green, not too dark. Slightly smooth some of that. Now I'm going to come in a little bit brighter with my white. The places that's the brightest white is where I'm going over now. conservatively use my black right here. Barely going over it just to get a sharper edge. Just in a couple of little spots. And I'm not trying to make it black, I'm just trying to rub it over just a little bit so it'll go just slightly darker than what it is. I can't emphasize enough, be really careful with the black. And I forgot to notice it up in here, it's pretty darn dark too, so we're going to go a little darker right here. So all I'm doing now is just kind of refining, looking anywhere that I might have missed. So I'm just looking for the medium and dark areas. Got most of the light areas taken care of. So now it's just refine just a little bit, medium to dark areas, put them on there, and it'll about be done as far as that goes, except for this little doohickey right here where the seam is. And that's pretty yellow. So I'm going to go over a little bit more. And then I'm going to use a brown on there sparingly to darken some of it. Especially on this right edge. And where the shadow is cast by the arm, I'm going to go over that with a light brown. I mean, I'm just not going to press very hard with it. Looking at it on my reference lot, just trying to copy what I see at this point. Basically, that frog is finished.